Hello, welcome to Somehow I Dad, a podcast about dad life from our own perspective, where we share stories and try to make each other better. We believe that being a dad is so much more than changing a few diapers, helping clean up around the house every few weeks, and providing for your family. I'm your host, Garrett, and joining me today from the great state of Ohio, Gordo.
Hello.
From Arkansas, Abe Phillips.
Hello.
And lastly, hailing from Alabama, Tyler Giddens.
Well, howdy.
We've got a great episode in store for you guys. Let's get into it. On this week's episode, I figured it'd be fitting to get to know the host of our podcast. We want this to be a community, and we want you all to know us and our heart behind the show. All four of us met playing Call of Duty together. We are a part of a really great community on Discord. Shout out to the Warzone Morons. But we met about 3 years ago during the beginning of the COVID-19 shutdown. Like a lot of you, the majority of us were laid off from our jobs and uncertain of what the next season of life was going to hold. We began to play a lot, and I mean a lot, of video games together, and just began a really great friendship with each other, and I think I speak for everyone, but we really helped each other get through a really scary, lonely season of life that was 2 weeks to flatten the curve. But in all seriousness, you guys are some of my best friends, and I love getting to do life with you guys and do this podcast together. Let's all do an introduction, and then I'll ask everyone a question at the end. Guys, whoever wants to go first, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourselves?
Yeah, I'll start us off. My name is Abe Phillips. I am 36 years old. I live in the great state of Arkansas. I was born here. I was raised here. I haven't left. I've always been in Northwest Arkansas. If you haven't been, you need to check it out. It's amazing. I have been married coming up on 10 years to my lovely wife, Melanie. She's great. She is everything that I am not. The mother of our two beautiful kids, Roman Jep. He is 4.5, and Cora Jane. She is 1.5. I work for Kroger. I work in their technology and digital side of their business, doing stuff for online grocery. So that's pretty fun. It's quite interesting working for Kroger when you live in Northwest Arkansas, because if you don't know, Northwest Arkansas is Walmart headquarters. So you either work for Walmart or do something to help support Walmart. I did that for quite a while. And then made the move over to Kroger. Very, very happy with my move. So that was fun. Favorite hobbies. Fishing is probably top tier for me. That is, my dad passed away it's going to be 8 years. This just in a couple weeks. But fishing was always, was our thing. That's what we did. That's how we escaped. And so now I'm getting really excited because my son is starting to get the fishing bug. And so he's asking to go, to go fishing and all that kind of stuff. And so, it's definitely bittersweet. Other personal hobby is, man, I really love to go roller skating. Right. So I that's what I did growing up on the weekend.
That's awesome.
We knew the rink owners, and so my parents would just drop me off, and I would skate all Friday night, and I would skate all day Saturday into Saturday night. That's just what I did on the weekends. So it was either fishing or skating. That was it. So that's me.
Heck yeah.
My name is Tyler. I'm 25 years old. I live in the great state of Alabama. I've been married for 4 years in March, I believe. I have 1.5 kids. So one is Aspen Ray. She is going to be 3 in February. The other, I say half, is because she's still baking in that oven, and she'll be born the 5th of February is her due date, and her name will be Oakley Sage. I currently work for Walmart, the company that Abe has deserted and turned his back on. I work overnight. I work overnight, so I love it there. It's great. And my favorite hobbies, video games, music, and hunting is pretty much where I spend all of my time. Warzone 2 is great. And I spend a good amount of time in the woods. Kind of like clears your mind just sitting there with nobody bothering you, nobody talking to you. It's just peaceful for me.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. I am. My name is Nick Van Gorder, also known as Gordo, and I'm 31. I live in just 30 minutes east of Cleveland, Ohio. Been here my whole life, pretty much. I have been married to my middle school sweetheart since September 18th, 2010. And yes, I did look that up before we did this just to try to impress my wife. And I have 3 kiddos. I have Dominic James, who is the oldest. He is going on 12 in February. I got Mason. Are we saying middle names? Is that like a thing? Mason William. We all call him Billy sometimes. And
What?
yeah, he is. Well, I should rephrase that. My brother harasses him and calls him Billy because his middle name is William. But yeah, I got nicknames for all my kids. Dominic is Burbs because Mason used to call him Brother Bear, but he would just say Burr Burr Burr. So yeah, he's Burbs, and then we got Mason, who's Squib. I have no idea where that came from. And Evelyn Grace, Evie Grace, she is 10 months old, and she's definitely the prettiest out of all 3 of my kids. She has a lot of nicknames. My boys call her Bev. I have no idea why. I hate it. I can't stand it. I call her Lindy just because I started calling her Eva Lindy, and then I was like, babe, maybe we should change the birth certificate. Eva Lindy's kind of cool. It's like trendy. We could go to like a mega church, something like that. But anyways, yeah, I just call her Lindy. So my favorite hobbies, honestly, right now, probably photography, BMX biking, biblical studies, music, video games, but it really changes. I mean, I'm like, I got 3 kids, so my hobby money kind of shifts depending on how I feel that week. So yeah, we stay busy.
My name is Garrett Brock. I am 26 years old. I live in Rockford, Illinois, about an hour or so away from Chicago. I have been married for almost 3 years. I married my high school sweetheart, Kate, back in 2020. We have 1 dog, River, who is currently our only child right now, but not for long. We've actually got our first kid on the way. Ezekiel Davis Brock is due in April of 2023. For work, I am a event technician at an audiovisual company. I do all things audio, video, and lighting. Outside of work, I love watching and playing video games, cooking with my wife, playing drums, bass, and singing at my church. Shout out City First Worship on all streaming platforms. Guys, in your current season, what does being a dad look like for you?
Oof. Man, it has been a very, very clear season of patience for me. My son is just tests me 24/7 all the time. And it is like I am mentally exhausted by the end of the day. If you can't tell.
Yeah.
But man, it's taught me it's a learning season more so than anything, of a lot of patience, a lot of prayer to hopefully steward his giftings correctly. Right. So a lot of the time that we spend in quiet time and spend in prayer is like, there's a couple giftings that my son is a natural leader. Every time we go pick him up from daycare, everybody is doing what he wants to do. And then, when we drop him off at daycare, it's everybody runs to him when he gets in the class, and everybody follows him around and all that kind of stuff. And it's really special and amazing to see. how do I steward that in a way to help promote a help promote healthy leadership?
Yeah, for
You
sure.
know, and so that is, to be fair, that's really terrifying for me because I was not that growing up. You know, and I still don't feel like I'm really like leading, leading a team doesn't come natural to me. It's something that I have to work at.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot of prayer of, help me identify, help me guide him, and not to suppress that, those giftings. And then patience with my daughter because she does not want anything to do with me right now.
Oh
She
man.
is in mommy phase. I only want mommy. Like, but I show up to pick her up from school, and she's like, "Mommy." When she sees me, it's like a
Oh,
disappointment, And I know it's just I know
jeez.
it's just a phase, right? Roman went
Yeah.
through it when he was a little bit younger. But then they snap out of it, and it's like, can you go back to mommy phase because you're just all over me all the time? So yeah, it's just that's the season right now. It's a lot of adjusting perspective and learning and being quiet and watching and so it's a roller
Yeah.
coaster, dude. But I wouldn't have it any other way. I love it.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, this is a pretty interesting season. I'm at a different point with kind of all my kids, I guess. And with when the boys were younger, I worked at a dealership, so I worked like anywhere from 60 to 80 hours a week. It was just pretty much nonstop. So I missed a lot of their like, newborn all the way up until probably 5, 6, 7 years old. And um so I feel like I'm kind of making up for lost time right now.
Mm.
And really we're in a season of like studying, I guess. So, we took them out during COVID. We took them out of public school because it was really causing, the in and out of school virtual to masks and no mask. Just all the craziness was really just causing them a lot of stress. So we just, we alleviated that by getting them in Christian school. And then, I became fascinated with the scriptures and truly got saved about 3 years ago. And so it's been like a season of just like, growth for myself, but now trying to like raise men, try to
Yeah.
raise men is best that I can. And now that I have what I believe is a firm, flat foundation, um, I I I feel like I can give them, I feel like I can give them that. I feel like I can give them um that guidance that I never felt like I could give. And so that's really cool, and they listen to, I mean, just, just being able to study the scriptures with them and just like the morning devotions, like, they're like, "Oh, Dad, we did this verse," or, they'll come and tell me about chapel, or, "Dad, how we were studying this? Like, here's what I learned today." And like they just get to see a lot of different perspectives,
Yeah.
because we were attending one church that had a certain set of beliefs, and then we got them in a school that was very like traditional, and they got to see that side of
Yeah.
it. And then all of a sudden, like, we switched churches to a more traditional church, and so they got to see everything, kind of that aspect. It's really cool with that part. And then with Evie, I mean, it's like really cool. I can go from having a really serious heartfelt discussion, like a man to man, a man to son, to just like picking up this little girl and just doing fart noises on her belly and just laughing with her. And so it's like a really cool parallel that I'm in right
Yeah.
now. And I mean, honestly, like I'm, I have my struggles and everything, but honestly, I think I'm probably at the happiest, and not the happiest, but like the most joyful and peaceful time of my life right now.
Yeah.
Like it's like does does Evie take up my spot in the bed right now, and sometimes I don't sleep in there. Yeah, that sucks. Stuff like that sucks. But what Riss doesn't know is that I spend that time, studying and like learning, and it's just like it's just an overall growth period. And I like to look at everything as
Yeah.
seasons. So this is really an enjoyable season, and I enjoyed the last couple seasons. And I'm sure that I'll have more seasons in the future that I enjoy just as much, if not more. So
Yeah, for me, it's learning what being a dad actually looks like day to day and who I want to be as a dad. I've been learning that every boy has one question that he's trying to get answered throughout the course of his life. We all know that every boy wants to be a hero. Every boy wants to be powerful. He wants to be dangerous. But he wants to know, do I have what it takes? My job as his dad is to answer it 1,000 times in 1,000 different ways over the course of his life. Right now, it's taking care of my wife, making sure she's comfortable, and trying to take away as much stress as possible. In action, it's owning a majority of the household chores. Kate works from home, so I make it my responsibility to load the dishwasher and tidy up our home every day so she can rest and work in a tidy, clean environment. I also really love getting to go to all the doctor's appointments and seeing my boy up on the ultrasounds.
Yeah, so being a dad is great. At times it can be tough. It's tough to balance time for yourself, time for your spouse, and time for your kids. I think sometimes the healthiest families have a good balance and or system going on. And that's tough to find with like different schedules, events and appointments and stuff going on. Um, I find it difficult though for myself to find time for myself without feeling like I'm neglecting my kids or my wife and vice versa. Because I don't want to give up things that I want to do that makes me happy, but at the same time, you can't just leave your kids at home, and just leave them there. I think that's a difficult balance for me that I'm still trying to figure out because I'm still kind of new to it. That's one thing that I kind of worry about when I'm not at home. Like if I'm out doing something that I want to do, I'm kind of worrying about like, should I be at home with my kids? Should I be at home with my child now? Or can I do this and then can I get home and can I spend time with them? Am I balancing enough time for myself and my family?
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what it looks like as for right now. It's tough to balance that. And is as far as like being a good dad in the future, like from now on, I want to be a good role model for my kids. I want to be somebody that they can look up to and model what love is, what respect is, because I don't want them to get it from anywhere else. I want them to look at me and be like, that's the way that a man should treat me, is the way that my dad treated me.
Yeah.
That's kind of the way I want to steer my kids.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, man, for little girls. And I don't think that, I mean, honestly, Tyler, I don't think that feeling ever goes away of like, if you're, and I don't want to say a good dad, but I think most good dads have that sense, because I definitely remember playing music out and it's like that's all I ever felt, going to record or if I'm within like 20 minutes to an hour away from my kids, like I feel like I'm not close enough. I know that's crazy, but that feeling kind of never goes away. You're like, man, I could be spending this time with my kids or pouring into my kids and stuff like that. I think it's just a sign of maturity and growing up. And I think you do get out of that phase because you naturally start gravitating more towards your kids and doing things with your kids. And yeah, I love that comment about raising your little girls like that. That's a great mindset to have.
Another thing I'll always want to be mindful of is to like not force what, like once they're older, obviously not now, but like down the road when they're like 12 or whatever, not forcing what I like to do on them or like forcing what entertains me on them. Like I love music. I love to sing. I love to play music. And I feel like my daughter's going to love it too because she sings nonstop. But I don't want to force that on her to where she has to do that. It feels like she has to like follow in what dad does. Dad does music. Dad sings all the time. Dad's at church singing. Dad's out singing here or whatever. I don't want her to feel like she has to follow in what I'm doing. And I don't want to pressure her into doing that. That's what I was always scared of having a boy because I always wanted to play football. And I was always scared that I was going to live out my dreams through my kid. I don't want to live out my dreams through my kid. I want them to have their own dreams.
Yeah, I think that's something that I like, a big fear of mine as well, is like, man, I've got so many dreams and so many like things that I want my kid to achieve or to even be as a person. But like, how do I not, obviously there's a healthy point of that and there's an unhealthy point of that. And like, how do I not project everything that I want for him onto him to where it feels like a pressure point, That's definitely a big fear that I have as well. So I feel that.
I think as they get older, like, that's music is something like I'm the only one in my family. I'm one of 5 kids and, obviously like including my parents out of out of everyone, I'm the only one that ever like picked up playing an instrument or anything like that. So I always was like, I was really bummed out that I could never play music with anybody in my family. So I kind of, when I first, when the boys were first born, like one of the biggest things that I thought was like, hey, I'm gonna get them into music young. Like that was my parents' mistake with all of us. Like I didn't start playing music till I was 15. Like they messed up. It's like I see these prodigies coming out of these, kids that get piano lessons and all this crazy stuff. And like I mean, they have pretty much picked up how to play a beat. Like they can do as far as that much. But other than that, like they don't have any interest in music. And so that was really not only a hard thing for me to separate myself from, like, for me to just say, "No, like, I'm sorry, I can't join that band," as much fun as it would be, like, I'm not doing that anymore, like, I'm not going out to bars, I'm not getting drunk, like, I'm not doing that type of stuff, so to separate myself from that, and then in turn, it kinda separated myself from as I separated myself from my own dreams, like, I stopped realizing that I didn't have to project those dreams on my children as well,
Mm.
like, they're going to grow as long as they have the foundation, as long as they have that, that moral compass. I think that's you start to realize as they get older because it's like, the things that I appreciate in Dominic, like, yeah, he is one heck of a baseball player. He's a great basketball player. He's a great big brother. All that type of stuff I appreciate, but like, just seeing what he does on a daily basis, the things that he doesn't know that we see, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the things that he does for his brother, he knows his brother. He knows if his brother's upset, different things like that. Yeah, could he really, piss off his brother? For sure. But like those are the things. And the same goes for Mason as well. Like, it's the same exact thing. It's the things that really matter are like the character moments that the spotlight will never shine on, that nobody will ever see or never know about. And it's so cool because you kind of just have to go through that, Garrett. So like I don't think you should feel scared about feeling that way. I think you should give, your child every opportunity that you can for them to succeed. Especially if it's something that you enjoy, but like finding the things that you guys enjoy together, like riding bikes and going to these BMX parks is like, I mean, we have an absolute
Yeah.
blast. So it's cool. It's something that we do together. So you find those
Yeah.
things. Do I want to fall off my bike at 31?
Nope.
Not again.
Not again.
Heck no. No, man, I'm paying the chiropractor 1,500 to fix me over the next 10 weeks, but, that's beside the point. But it's the memories, man, and that's
Yeah.
all. That's what I'm
And
gonna
it's
leave you with, so
I
yeah.
just to add to that, it's organic, dude. Like I want my son to experience everything. Right? Like and you'll start to realize what they naturally gravitate towards. Right? And
Yeah.
then and it's they're inherently like if fishing for me, right? Like I saw my dad, like I saw the peace in it. I saw the tranquility in it. I saw the we could go out and catch two fish, and my dad is just as happy as catching two fish as we catch 50 fish or no fish. It was just the fact that he's like, what I saw in my dad was this is what he truly loves to do, right? And it
Yeah.
wasn't a pressure thing. It wasn't a I want you to do this because this is what I love. It was I naturally gravitated towards it because I saw um not only did I see a different part of my dad, but I felt like his peace and that connection and like there's that one thing that like you just nobody could ever take my peace from this. You know what I mean? Um
Yeah.
Right.
and so I and I talk about fishing all the time with Roman, but it's very important. Me and my wife have had this conversation a while back of like, don't project things onto them that you love doing. But I look at it, to be fair, I look at it a little bit differently, where I want him to experience that because I loved it so much. Right. But it's a different type of like, am I going to be upset if he doesn't want to do it? No, not at all. Right. But I want him to be able to find that one thing that he just can always fall back on, and that is his peace. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
what I saw in my dad and fishing. And my dad was always like, we grew up racing motocross. We traveled all over the US, racing, and it was really incredible being able to spend, every weekend with your parents, right? Um, and I remember distinctly one time driving to a race, and um, it was, a couple hours away, but getting ready for the race, you've got that whole day. You're getting ready for it. You're loading the bikes in the trailer. You're getting gas in the truck and all that kind of stuff. So you spend a day prepping, and so it's really like a 24-hour thing, right? We get down there, and I race one moto, and I just, I tell my dad, I'm like, I really just don't feel like doing this, and he was like, okay. Like, no, like, you met a commitment. You have to do this. We traveled this far. We spent this much money, yada, 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 whatever. My dad was just like, yeah, okay, cool. Why don't you want to do it? Oh, well, I just, I feel like I'm going to get hurt tonight. I got scared. I remember like it was yesterday. I got scared. And my dad was like, all right, cool. Let's load up and go home. And that was kind of how fishing was. You know what I mean? So it was just like this peaceful type of thing, and not that I don't want to be super good at it, and I don't want, I want the Roman to love it, and I want Core to love it, and all that kind of stuff, but I want over and beyond that, I want them to find that one thing, whether it's music, whether it's playing basketball, whether it's writing, whether it's whatever. It's just that one spot that's yours in your life, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? And I always
Yeah.
want them,
Yeah.
I want them to chase that. And I want that to be, where I pray more fishing than I do, any other time, because, whether I've got somebody with me in the boat or not, it's just, that's my, like, I want you to experience this peace with me. And so I want them to be able to find that, and whether it's, something that me and Mel love, whether it's something totally different that, basketball, I'm 5'4" on a good day, so I didn't play basketball growing up. But this dude loves basketball. That's all he wants to do. And so, it's just, for me, it's one of those things of like, hey, this is something that your dad, me, speaking to my kids, this is something that was always my love. No matter what was going on,
Yeah.
I knew that I could hook the boat up to the truck, go to the lake, and just fish and forget about everything. And that's what I want for them. So I don't think you have to worry about projecting anything on them. I think the things that you naturally love and who you are at your core, they're going to take notice, and they're going to recognize, and they're going to be attracted to those things. I think it's going to be very apparent when they don't like something that the energy isn't right.
All right, guys. Does anybody have any stories that you want to share?
So I don't have any funny stories, but I do have like funny sayings that my daughter says all the time.
Yeah. Go for it.
Or just things that she said in the car that make no sense. So we'll be driving down the road. One day she said, "The donkey is driving me nuts." "Where did you see a donkey?" "It was in the tree." She says, "You're getting on my nervous." "Mommy, I scared." "Why?" As we're walking into TJ Maxx, she said, "The people, mommy, I'm scared." Don't know what that means.
You should probably get that checked out a little bit.
She got mad because the menu at the restaurant wouldn't read to her. On Mother's Day, she says, "Happy birthday, Mutters."
Mutters.
She says "gore" instead of "girl."
She said something funny when we came to Alabama, dude. Do you remember that? when we met at Whataburger.
I don't remember what it was.
It was like 100 degrees down there, and she walked in and she looks at Evie, and she goes, "Evie's wearing a swimsuit." It was, oh my gosh, we were dying.
It was very
Dominic
hot.
and Mason were dying. Yeah, it was funny.
I don't have, man, I've got like, golly, dude. I've got my son is a basket case, dude. He is everything that annoys the fire out of me. But I couldn't go. I recently just got back from a week traveling, and it's like you love it, right? You love traveling.
Yeah.
And like the first day, you're like, oh, this is amazing. I don't have to share the iPad. I don't have to listen to anybody's Dad, watch this, Dad. And you see the same thing 100 million times. But like you wake up the next day and you realize, like, my son gets up he's got this little nightlight thing that comes on at night, right?
Yeah.
And he will at like 6 o'clock, he'll just yell, "Dad!" And I have to get out of bed. I got to go all the way up the stairs for him to get up and then race me down the stairs to get back in our bed to snuggle. Like, you're 4.5 years old, dude. You can get up yourself and come snuggle when your light goes off. It is like he is something else. And my daughter is 1.5. She is everything that he isn't. And it's like, it's such a unique balance, but he wants to do, he's just like me. He's just like me. He wants to be a pro the second he tries something, and gets very, very frustrated when he can't get it right. But God forbid you try to like teach him or show him, he's not having it.
Yeah.
He wants to do it himself. He tests my patience every single day, but it is just it's so incredible to watch him like persevere through things. It's a cool thing, man. Cool thing to watch.
I've got a story. I was talking with a friend of mine who they're pregnant, and they're actually due in January. So they're due in 6 weeks or so from now. And they were at the doctor for one of their checkups, and they also have a little girl, and they were able to get to bring her to the doctor's appointment with them, because right now with the COVID rules, like the doctors are like super strict on like how many people you can bring with you to each appointment. But they were able to bring their daughter in, and it was the first time that she had seen the picture of the baby in mommy's belly. And she was so excited, and she was like, I'm so excited. She's just freaking out, like so, like cannot contain her excitement about the baby in mommy's belly. And she's like, I have to go be with her. I have to go be with the baby. And is like, starts lifting up the mom's like gown on the table and like trying to figure out how to get back into mommy's belly to be with her new sister. And they're like mortified because of course the doctor is still there, and they're like trying to calm down their kid, who is just like out of control excited to see her sister, that she has to be in mommy's belly to hang out with her. And just the funniest thing to me. I was just dying laughing as he was telling me this. It's so funny.
Bro, that's wild. Last time we went to our ultrasound appointment, we got a 4D ultrasound.
Yeah.
And Aspen was sitting there, and she said, "Look, Mommy, that baby's brown." I was like, "It better not. It better not come out brown. I will walk out."
Oh my goodness.
That's so funny. Dude, we were in our last ultrasound appointment. The nurse is like, all right, yep, looks like the stomach's where it should be and the brain's where it should be. And I was like, wait, hold on a second. I didn't even know that was an option. Like, you're telling me it was an option for my kid's stomach to just be in the wrong place, or for their ears to not like be in the right place? Like, that didn't even cross my mind. And she was like, oh yeah, it just looks good. I was like, thank God it looks good. I didn't even think about that.
You'll start to realize things that you worry about that were not even in your universe when you have a kid. Like, it is the most terrifying thing in the entire world. It is like that specifically, like going and being so excited about an ultrasound and hearing the heartbeat and all that kind of stuff, and the realization of like the amazing gift that you've been given, but also the sheer terror of like somebody saying, oh yeah, hey, it looks like, the ears are looking good, all that kind of stuff. And then it starts to creep in of like, wait, so there's a chance it might not be good. Like, wait.
Yeah. That's funny, man. I like with the boys. I mean, we were so young. We were 19 and 18. We had Dom, and then Mason, or like 20 and 19 or something. And yeah, I mean, it was like back then we didn't have any idea. You know what I mean? It was just like, I was like, boom, all of a sudden we have 2 kids. All right, cool. And then, I mean, like, honestly, up until, I mean, even now I still check at night. Like if I wake up, I'll go check. I'll just be like, hey, are the kids breathing? Like, it's just this weird thing that I have. Like, I'm like, I just got to make sure they're breathing, you know? But like back then it was like, as young parents, we winged so much. We look now and we're like, holy crap, we winged literally everything. And with Evelyn now, it's like, she's 10 months old, and we look back and we're like, it's just been anxiety, like the whole pregnancy, everything. It's like we got older and we're like, I don't know. It's just we got more anxiety about it rather than just kind of jumping into it. But I think it's definitely. I think the positive outweighs the negative emotions. But yeah, like Abe said, you literally never stop worrying about them. I mean, every possible thing that you can think of.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's terrifying. Absolutely terrifying.
We're going to take a quick break and hear a word from our sponsors.
Introducing the newest, most innovative, most handiest, dandiest product in the market today, the Nose Frida. Has your little one ever been stuffed up and angry? Have you tried everything on the market to no avail? Have you had the saline bottle aimed the wrong way and you spray it directly into your eye instead of your child's nose? Then I have great news for you. Nose Frida. Simply grab the pointy end and stick that bad boy up your child's nose, then stick the other end of your mouth like you're about to siphon gas from a 1994 Honda Civic. The super suction technology will rip those boogies from your child's nose. But wait, don't suck too hard unless you want to snot rocket to the uvula. This amazing life-saving device can be yours for only 13 easy payments of $89.99.
Nose Frida, not a sponsor.
Call now.
A reoccurring segment on our show will be the mailbag, where we take a few questions from Instagram, YouTube, and email. If you have any questions about dad life, parenting, married life, or just general questions about Gordo's roller coaster tycoon builds, please follow us and message us on Instagram at SomehowIDad. Comment and subscribe on YouTube at SomehowIDad, and email us at somehowidad@gmail.com. Here's some questions from you. First question coming from Peyton on Facebook. What are y'all's thoughts on Santa? Anybody want to speak on that? Got Christmas right around the corner, a few weeks from now. Anybody? I know it's a little dicey subject. But what are you,
Tyler? Why don't you go start us off, dude?
What are you guys thoughts on Santa?
I mean, we've always done, like in my house, the way we did it is like we all believed in Santa or whatever as a kid, but it would always be like the big gift. Like me and my wife were totally different, so my parents obviously would buy something and put it out in front of the tree, like a bicycle or just something big that you couldn't wrap. And that's what was from Santa Claus, and everything else was wrapped. Well, my wife was completely different, so she was raised completely different. So everything was under the tree and everything was from Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Like their parents didn't get anything. All of it was from Santa, and nothing was wrapped. It was all just under the tree. I was like, oh my God, what is going on? And she mentioned that. I was like, we are not doing that. Like that is crazy. So we kind of had to compromise. Everything's still wrapped, but we picked like 4 gifts that's going to be from Santa, and then the rest is from us, because we don't want we don't want Santa getting the credit for the good stuff.
We're kind of that way too. We do like Santa gets you what you need, right? Like, so if you need some new clothes or some socks or some shoes or something like that. I mean, they're young enough right now to where we're not spending a grip on new clothes and all that kind of stuff. But the Santa gets you what you need, and all the bigger stuff is from is from mom and dad, because I want those kids to understand that we work hard, right, to be able to get you, these things and all that kind of stuff. So we believe in Santa in our house, and we do the whole elf on a shelf thing and all that kind of stuff. And so, our family is really like, I want my kids to understand that, like, if you want really nice things, you have to work hard for them. And so I want them to kind of understand that you're not just going to be gifted, hey, here, Santa's giving you we got my son a new basketball goal. Like, that's his thing right now, is he wants basketball, all things basketball. And so we got him this little basketball goal, and he's old enough now to understand a little bit of, like, okay, mommy and daddy got me this, or Santa got me this. And so we kind of had that similar conversation of, like, my wife was like, no, we're going to wrap a few things, and then we're going to have a bunch of stuff set out in front of the tree that's from Santa. And I'm like, wait a minute. Like, I don't want my son thinking that Santa just brings him all the good stuff, right? Like, no, Santa's going to bring you what you need, right? Like, and that's kind of what we did in my family. And so it was having kids brings up conversations like that you're like, am I really are we really arguing about what Santa brings versus what Santa doesn't bring? For real right now? And so, yeah, it's unique for sure, but we're kind of along the same lines there, Tyler.
I mean, we did. So kind of a little backstory is, I remember being like 10 years old and Santa wasn't real. And it was like the most devastating point in my life. Like, it is a devastating core memory.
No.
I remember,
triggered.
Yeah, I mean, I was so upset with my mom. I'm like, oh my gosh, if Santa's not real, nothing's real. And I went through like one of those phases and just like, I was a rebellious 10-year-old because of Santa. But anyways, I always said that, I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to do it, because I don't want to lie to my kids about that and then them not believe me about something like Jesus, So I kind of went that route with it. Marissa thought a little bit differently. Like, her family is all about Santa. Just to give you kind of like insight, I mean, there's like 25 to 30 people every single year. I've been in the family since 2004, and we've gone and got a Santa picture every single year. This was actually the first year that I missed it, but it's just like they're big into that whole thing. So we compromised and we did Santa with the boys. And we did the whole elf on the shelf thing. We kind of did like Abe and Tyler, like Santa would get them. We screwed up. Santa got on the big things a couple times, and then we learned, like, man, this fat dude that doesn't exist is getting all the credit. Like, this fat dude that paid all the money wants to get credit. You know what I mean? So, anyways, when Mason found out, when he was about the same, it was probably about 2 years ago. I think it's been 2 Christmases now. He was also like pretty devastated, but he went to my wife and he's like, Mom, I need the truth. You need to tell me the truth now. So it was a lot less devastating than when I found out. And then with Evelyn, she is 10 months old. We actually decided, we're like, you know what? We're just not going to do the Santa thing. It's just, we just decided, like, it's just, all things considered, like, sure, there was maybe some like looking into origins. I mean, you guys know how I am, but ultimately we're just like, we're not gonna do it. Like, I finally got my way after 3 kids, and she's cool with it. So
nice. Yeah, my wife, Kate, and I have been talking about it a lot recently. Because our first kid's on the way, and Christmas is obviously a few weeks away. We've been talking about it, debating it, and kind of figuring out what we want our family to look like. And we've been leaning towards not doing Santa. A few reasons why is because we really want to create a culture of trust within our home. I feel like that's just really important, and not lying to our kids about it just kind of like, I don't know, it just kind of feels like a big deal to us. Another biggie is that I didn't want my kids seeing Santa give some children bikes or video game systems some kid gets an Xbox Series X and like others get like a small toy. I want to make sure my kids know that that's not because of the inherent worth of different children, but a lot of times it's because of the choices people make and often privilege. We also really want our kids to feel loved and seen by the people they know. And kind of like you guys said, we don't really have a desire for some dude from the North Pole to take credit for my gifts. Part of the fun of Christmas is doing the gifting and seeing the gratitude and appreciation when someone opens yours. And I want my kids to be able to experience both sides of that. So we've been leaning towards not doing Santa. But I was definitely, my parents did Santa with me as a kid, but I feel like I found out at like a pretty early age that Santa didn't exist. I definitely ruined it for a lot of kids. I was that kid that was like running around and being like, dude, Santa's not real. Like, get with the times. Like, you're way behind. And caused a lot of family drama because I definitely ruined it for my cousins who are the same age as me.
Yeah, I feel like it was with us, it was explained a little different. So the way it was explained to me by my mom when we were kids is, so we always wondered why some kids got like great gifts and then we got something else. Not that we didn't get great gifts, we got great gifts, but like why somebody got an Xbox or a PlayStation and we had a bicycle.
Yeah.
You know, why is there such a big discrepancy? She said, "Oh, we have to pay Santa Claus." So that's that was kind of her reason. So we have to pay Santa Claus. So he doesn't do all this for free. We have to pay him. So that's why you get what you get. So we have to pay for your gifts and we have to pay Santa. It's a whole list and a bill and a whole shebang. Brilliant. So, but I never felt lied to as a kid. Like even like when I was, like Gordo said, when I was like 9 or 10, I kind of knew Santa Claus wasn't real.
Dude.
I was like, you know what? I don't believe in Santa Claus. I fully do not believe, and I'll see if he's real. And then he showed up with gifts. I was like, nah, he's not real. That was my mom because I didn't believe it all. And that was my thought process. So I didn't feel lied to. I feel like it did incorporate an element of Christmas that I felt like would have been missing had we not celebrated that way. But,
yeah, I get that.
We always knew no matter what present we got my dad, he was taking it back. Without question. Without question. Because
that's how my mom
it was like we'd get him tools that we knew he needed, and he would take them back. And his reasoning is, "Oh, it's always cheaper after Christmas." And so he'd go,
"Oh my gosh!"
We'd spend a couple $100 on a couple tools that he needed or whatever, and he'd take them back. So eventually, we just started getting gift cards. Then he got mad that we got him gift cards. We're like,
yeah,
damned if you do, damned if you don't here. Like, well, there's no thought that goes into gift card. My dad was very unique because he would get so pissed that he had to take the presents back. We're like, what? And then so it was just Christmas was always interesting with my dad. So
yeah. All right. Next question from Elijah on Facebook. Did you prefer the infant stage, toddler stage, or any of the older stages?
Get a job stage.
So I've only been through the first two, infant stage and toddler stage.
Yeah.
And by far, 110%, I prefer this toddler stage over the infant stage. Like it's great holding your baby and keeping them close because they're so sweet. They can't do anything. They can't cause any trouble. You just hold them and you enjoy like being close to them. But like this toddler stage, man, is so much fun because they can talk, they can laugh, they can tell you stupid jokes, they can laugh at your stupid jokes, they can play with you, they can do all kinds of stuff. They can run. Like there's so much more quality time you can spend with a toddler than you can spend with a baby who sleeps, eats, and poops 24/7.
Yeah, it's hard with that infant stage is definitely really hard for dads. I mean, it's like for me with my kids, I mean, it was probably around like when they could start to talk and not like a lot of words, just like mama, dada, that type of stuff. That's really, I think, when I start to bond with them. I mean, I love them, I take care of them, but it just fell so heavily on wrists, with breastfeeding, with breastfeeding at least Mason and Evie, that it was like, I don't know. I didn't get a lot of time with them to really have that bonding. Yeah. But once they can interact back, I definitely think it was easier for me. But I mean, I've been through a lot of the stages. We're just now, Dominic's going to be 12 in February, so we're just now getting into that like preteen stage.
Oh, boy.
He's in middle school now, and it's definitely interesting. I mean, he's a really good kid, but just like, there's a lot of like changes in your
Oh,
body,
boy.
like a lot of like emotions to manage, so there's a lot of a lot of different things, and we've had to have the talk, and
Oh.
I had that talk with him and Mason, because it's just like, they're 21 months apart, that it's like whatever I do with Dom, I just do with Mason naturally, because it's like, hey, kind of like a 2-for-1 type deal. But yeah, I mean, really, like with having a daughter now after having 2 sons, like I love this stage. We're just like I had a blast picking out her Christmas presents, and just like, my wife telling me where she's going to have the party at, how she's going to do it, just seeing like all the little bows and stuff she brings home. Like, I'm honestly surprised that I enjoy being a dad of a little girl this
Yeah.
much. Just because I've never experienced it, but I don't have a preference on stage. I mean, like Mason, the stages he's in right now, like he's as tall as Riss, which means he's a couple inches shorter than me, but he's still the snuggliest, most loviest 10-year-old that you've ever seen. So like, it's like when I snuggle him, I'm like snuggling a grown man. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's a weird thing. I'm like, this is weird, but I like love you, and you're my little baby, but you're not my little baby. You're going to tower over me, and it's just, I don't know, man. I've loved every stage. The infant stage though has been, you kind of lose your wife in a sense, because she's yours, and then all of a sudden like this baby consumes all her time. So there's that. And then there's just, it's hard to bond with a little infant, but yeah, you'll see soon, Garrett. You'll definitely see soon.
Yeah.
I hope I hope that you hold out hope that after the infant stage, going into the 1-year-old toddler stage, I mean, it becomes so rewarding and so much fun.
Yeah.
Even if the infant stage is a struggle, it's just like, hey, those 6 months were freaking worth it. Like when
my wife had trouble breastfeeding, so we went to like formula, and it was really frustrating at first. Not frustrating, probably wasn't the right word. My wife was frustrated because she wanted to breastfeed, and so it was just so emotionally, like with Roman, our boy, it was just so emotionally taxing that I look back, and because we had Cora, I was like ditch to ditch on the infancy phase, right? Because it was just so emotionally taxing for my wife. It's just that motherly thing of like, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is, my body's set up for this, but my body's not doing it. You know what I mean? And so that was very, man, it was like, it was tough. And so it was almost, there was almost kind of like, I'm going to say resentment, but I don't mean it in the full sense of the word. Because I'm watching my wife struggle, and there's literally nothing that I can do about it other than, go make the bottle and feed him. And so it was so emotionally taxing with Roman. But it was so polar opposite with Cora, right? Because we accepted the fact that we tried to breastfeed for, gosh, probably 4 or 5 months, really, really tried lactation consultants and, and all this kind of stuff. And until finally, like, it was just this like Holy Spirit breakthrough of, you're not a bad mom if you use formula. Like, we just need to make sure our kid is healthy. You know what I mean? And so once we got past that phase, then everything was awesome. But we started with that mindset from like the first week with Cora. We tried for a week, and it was presenting with the same patterns of her struggling to breastfeed. And so we just switched to formula. Boom. Like, we made the switch. And infancy phase with Cora was just like, I'm telling you, holding, I mean, both of them, like, you, as a dad, you just, like, there's a bond with both of them, but there's just something holding a little girl. You know what I mean? Of like, I'll go to jail for you without question. Right? Like there's, and I would, and you kind of have this mindset with, with my son of like, my dad was very hard nosed. Like there are certain truths that you handle as a man. And so it's tough to separate those out a little bit, of it being like, bro, he's 4.5. You know what I mean? Like, homie can't even tie his shoes yet. And so I'm expecting him to realize not to run out into a parking lot, as even though I tell him 100 times, he's still just like, he's 4.5. You know what I mean? And so there's still a lot that he's having to learn to process and all that kind of stuff. But I will say that having Roman, who's 4.5, and watching him, we had him in an in-home daycare, which was great, but he was struggling because he was one of the older ones there. And so they were catering a lot more to the younger kids. And so once we moved him to this new daycare, it is just like, it almost brings me to tears just how far he's gone in like 7 or 8 months. He's writing his full name. He's counting to 100.
Man.
He's doing all of these things. And there's so many times when I look at my wife and I'm like, is that normal? Right? Like, is he supposed to be doing things like this already? Because I'm not like, I'm like able to legitimately have a conversation with him. And he still says, kind of off the wall, funny stuff. And you're like, what in the world are you talking about? But now watching how fast he's advanced, and how much he's grown, and now watching Cora kind of follow suit, like, a funny story time. She was sitting on my lap, and this girl loves music. Like her booty starts shaking the second she hears a beat. Like it doesn't matter if she's sitting down, doesn't matter what she's doing. If there's music playing, she is all about it. And so she climbs up in my lap tonight. We're watching, I think, the Santa Claus or some Christmas show. And she says, Musa, Musa. She can't say the full word, so it's just Musa, Musa. And I'm like, okay, what do you want to listen to? And I'm thinking it's probably going to be like, we've got Yaby Shark. Yaby Shark is a big thing right now in our house that drives me up the wall. But she said, walk you. I'm like, what? Walk you? And I'm looking at my wife, and Roman just looks at me and he goes, Dad, she wants to hear We Will Rock You. And then she just like lit up and was like clapping her hands. Yeah. Walk you. So we turned We Will Rock You on, and she just like just lights up. So I don't know,
man.
Like it's crazy, but to Gordo's point of like, once you get that, I never, like, for the first few years, I say the first couple of years, I didn't like, until I got that interaction, right, to where we can like run around and we can play. I never got that I love you so much it hurts feeling. But I would say last year it really, really hit me of like, dude, this, like, I physically almost hurt because of how much how much I love you. And so that never really happened until, kind of the toddler phase for me and all that kind of stuff. And so it's just like each stage has its own rewards. It's always interesting when they cuss at you. We had that one not too long ago. I forgot I can't remember what I was doing in the kitchen. I was doing something. And Roman, this was a few months back, and Roman from the living room, I think I dropped like I dropped a cup or something. It was kind of this semi-loud noise, and he just kind of leans and looks at me and goes, "What the hell, Dad?" And I was like, "Oh man, like I really want to be mad at you, but it, like, the context was exactly spot on, and you said it crystal clear."
Oh yeah, it's hard.
I was proud of him for using it correctly, right? I'm like, hey, you're paying attention at a boy. but now we have we had to have the talk of like, hey, there's some things that you can say, there's some things you can't say.
Yeah.
Roman said, Dad, when I'm 14, can I say those words? I'm like, no, you're not. No, there's words you can't say. And so this went on for a few weeks of like 14 was always the age, right? Like I don't know why it was 14, but he's like, can I have a beer when I'm 14? Absolutely not. Can I say those words when I'm 14? Absolutely not. And then one day, he said, Dad, can I say those words when I have a beard? And I was like, yeah, okay. Because for me, I didn't get my beard till I was like 22, 23 years old, right? And even then, it was like real sparse and patchy. So I'm thinking like, you're probably it's gonna be a while before you get a beard. So now, and he like anytime he hears a bad word on a TV show or something, he'll look at me and he goes, Dad, that's a beard word. And I'm like, yup. Yes, it is. It's a beard word. But now we're in the realm of dude doesn't understand why women can say bad words. He's like, Dad, they don't have a beard. Why can they say that? I'm like, well, it's like
just tell them they shave their beard.
Bud. He's like, but they don't have a beard, Dad. They don't have a beard. They can't say that. And I'm like, oh man.
I obviously don't have my kid yet. My wife's she's due in April of next year, so we've still got we're actually at the halfway point, just a little over the halfway point now of the pregnancy. And I was, before I had this conversation with my boss, I was really excited for the toddler stage. I was like, man, I can't wait until I can interact with them. And just get to hang out and talk and joke around, and teach him so many new things and have so many fun experiences with him. But I was talking with my boss, and I kind of found myself like wishing away the infant stage a little bit, not wishing it away, but like I just was really looking forward to the toddler stage. And I was talking with my boss one day, and he was like, man, like he's like, one of my favorite things of being a dad was when my kids were really little and they're infants, and they're crying in the middle of the night, and you have to go get them out of their crib, and just hold them. He was like, one of my favorite moments was just holding my kid in the middle of the night when everything else is quiet, everything else is asleep, and it's just you and them, and you just get to like be in that moment. There's no TV going, there's no music going, it's just you and them. And I was like, man, like I didn't think about that at all. And so that got me really excited for the infant stage. Definitely not excited about getting peed on, because I will 100% throw up. I have the worst gag reflex. And I will 100% throw up. I
just wait till you get throw up in your mouth.
Oh, God.
That's
But yeah, I mean, I am excited about the toddler stage. It's just filled with so many funny moments. Because toddlers just act like drunk adults. They're just like falling all over the place. They slur their words. And they're just hilarious to watch. So I don't know. I'm really stoked for it all. Every episode, we want to end with a question for you, our audience. You can respond on Instagram at SomehowIDad, comment and subscribe on YouTube at SomehowIDad, or email us at somehowidad@gmail.com. Today's question is, who is your favorite TV dad and why? We will all answer that question during the next episode, and we look forward to hearing some of your answers as well. Well, guys, we made it. It's been years of dreaming and planning. And the first episode is in the books. Thank you guys so much for listening, and being part of something special. We are all stoked to see where this goes. Until next time,
I'm Abe.
I'm Gordo.
I'm Tyler.
And I'm Garrett. Remember that being good enough isn't the goal. Being the best version of you, which include being a parent, is. Love you. Bye.